Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Subject Computer Science or Computer Application, 11th Standard A and 11th Standard C section students. This is the common chapter for both class 11th A and 11th C. In previous chapter, we have some difference. That's why I placed two different videos. In computer science, there was an extra video for Boolean algebra. Now, chapter 3 is common for both computer science as well as computer application. In this video, we are going to discuss the chapter 3 computer organization. Let's start our class. So, in this class, we are going to discuss the following topics: introduction, basics of microprocessor, data communication between CPU and memory, types of microprocessor, memory devices, secondary storage devices, ports and interfaces. So first topic, introduction. So computer organization is the topic of this chapter. In this topic we are going to deal with the different hardware component of computer. Of course we discuss these hardware components. These hardware components are divided into 5 different units: input unit, output unit, central processing unit, memory unit, and the input, output, memory unit, and secondary storage unit. So in this class we are going to discuss these different units are how they are interconnected and as well as how they communicate with each other. So here you can see the term computer organization deals with the engineering consideration involved in designing a computer. So it means we are going to see how the engineers constructed this computer with the different units and how they are interconnected and how it communicate. So next topic is basics of microprocessor. In the above discussed 5 units, one of the main unit is CPU, that is central processing unit. This unit is also called as brain of the computer because all the processing is done here. So this is realized by the microprocessor, which is an integrated circuit, which was introduced in 1970s. And the first general purpose microprocessor 4004 was developed by Intel Incorporation. So microprocessor is the one of the processing unit in CPU, which was designed very first in 1970s. The first microprocessor is 4004 developed by Intel Corporation. The microprocessor is a programmable multi-purpose silicon chip. It is derived from clock pulses. It accepts input as a binary data, and after processing it, it provides the output data as per the instructions stored in the memory. so so microprocessor is a silicon chip that is integrated circuits are uh, integrated in a very large scale, that is we could discuss in the generation of computer VLSI, very large scale integration. So after inventing the microprocessor, the computer's processing speed is increased at a very fast rate, as well as the many advantages are added in the computer's head. Now we are going to see the different characteristics of microprocessor. Microprocessor is the unit which processes the instruction given by the user by using the inputs given by the user and provide the output data. So here in technical term we can say input is known as data, processing instruction is known as called instruction set, and the output is called information. Now the three main major characteristics of microprocessor is clock speed, instruction set, word size. So what is clock speed? Clock speed means every microprocessor has an internal clock that regulates the speed at which it executes instruction. So the speed at which microprocessor execute instruction is called the clock speed. Clock speed is measured in megahertz or gigahertz. Of course, we know the when we purchase any electronic device, either mobile or laptop, computer, CPU, we discuss about the processor speed. When you discuss about the processor speed, the speed is mentioned in this unit, that is called megahertz and gigahertz. This is the speed of the clock inside a processor. So depending upon the speed of the clock, internal clock, the microprocessor is a microprocessor speed also increased or decreased. So it is the one of the first character of microprocessor. So next one is the instruction set. So instruction set is mean a command which is given to a computer to perform an operation on data. Here data means input is called instruction. So many instructions are bundled in a form of machine level language and passed to microprocessor for producing information or for processing purpose. This set of commands are called instruction set. This instruction set carries out the following operation. So five different operations are executed in instruction set. One, data transfer. Number two, arithmetic operation. Number three, logical operation. Number four, control flow. And number five, input output. So these transactions are discussed elaborately in the upcoming topics. Now first you understand what is instruction set. So instruction set means it's a command where many commands are bundled in the form of machine level language or binary language, because microprocessor understand only machine level language. So this instruction, by using this instruction set, the microprocessor process the data and convert this data into information. So this is the second characteristics of microprocessor. Now we go for the third and last characteristics of microprocessor, that is word size. Of course we know word size means number of bits processed by microprocessor in a second. So here the number of bits that can be processed by a microprocessor in a single instruction is called its word size. Word size determine the amount of RAM is an example for a memory device, memory unit. So RAM means random access memory. So this one is discussed already in first chapter, that can be accessed by a microprocessor. So depending upon the word size also, the speed of the microprocessor may vary. So these are the three important characteristics of microprocessor. Number one, clock. Number two, clock speed. Number two, instruction set. Number three, word size. Now we go for the data communication between the CPU and memory. So in the diagram you can see there are different units are interconnected. Whenever we pass the input flows in the direction in the direction and go to the main memory. After that it go to the internal memory and it goes for ALU, and all the operations are processed in the ALU. After the data is converted into information, again ALU send the information and data to internal memory, and then information is passed to main memory. After, depending upon the user command, if the information want to store for say future use, the informations are stored in secondary memory. After depending upon the user instruction, if the information want to display on the output device, then this information is passed to the output unit. This all process is controlled by the control unit. This is the head of the all units. So here you can see red line red line indicate the flow of data path. Blue line indicate the control of the data path. Here this is the concept which we already discussed in first chapter. Now here we are going to go for more technical terms which we are going to discuss here. The first point, here you can see the CPU has memory data register and a memory address register. So of course we know internal memory is also called as register. So there are two types of register. One is MDR, memory data register. Another one is MAR. So we will see what is the function of MDR, that is memory data register. Very simple. This register keeps the data which is transferred between the memory and the CPU. Here memory refers to main memory. So between main memory and the CPU, whenever the data is transferred, it is stored in the internal memory's register called MDR. So when user gives input, the input directly stored in main memory. After, for processing purpose, from main memory to the data are transferred to internal memory. This internal memory is also known as register. In the register there was another internal register called MDR, where we store the data, that is data transferred between CPU and memory. So next term which we learn here, that is the program counter, PC. So generally PC means personal computer, but here we call it as a program counter. Is a special register in the CPU which always keeps the address of next instruction to be executed. So PC is the personal program counter which keeps all the addresses of next instruction to be executed by the ALU. So it means, for example, many instructions are passed by user through different units. When any instruction is processing under in ALU, after processing that instruction, the next instruction which want to be processed is keep in the register called PCE. This is also available in this internal memory. So internal memory consists of three main registers. One is MDR, memory data register, which keeps all the data transfer between CPU and as CPU and is a main memory. And then program counter is a register where it keeps the address of instruction which is to be next executed. So next we are going to discuss the arithmetic and logic unit of CPU places the address of memory to be fetched into the memory address register. So MAR. So we are going to discuss the third register, MAR. MAR is the place where the address of the memory to be fetched is stored. So the arithmetic and logic unit is the unit which process all the data of CPU, places the address of memory to be fetched into the memory address. So in MDR we store the data, in MAR we store the address of the data, in PCE we store the address of the instruction to be processed. Next, the topic is next important term is bus. Of course, a bus is a collection of wires used for communication between internal components of a computer. So each and every unit here you can see each and every unit are connected by bunch of wires. These bunch of wires are called bus. So this is the fifth term which we learn here. The first term is MDR, which store the data transfer between memory and CPU. Next PC, program counter, which keeps the address of the instruction to be fetched. Next is the MAR, which store the address of the data. Next is the bus. The fourth term is the bus. Bus is a bunch of wires or collection of wire used for communication between internal component of memory devices. So next we are going to see the next topic, next component called the word in RAM has the same size, that is number of bytes, as the memory data register. If the processor is an 8-bit processor like Intel 8085, its MDR and the word in the RAM both have 8 bits. So here RAM refers to memory unit where the temporarily data are stored which is going to be processed. Here MDR is the place inside the internal memory in the CPU. Both RAM and MDR is used to store data, so both sizes should be same. Then only the process will execute successfully. So depending upon the microprocessor size, the RAM and MDR sizes also vary, and there is a condition: RAM word size and MDR word size must be same. Next is the read operation. Read operation transfers the data in the form of binary digits. That's why the data is represented in binary digits bits from word to memory data register. From word to memory data register. The write operation transfer the data from memory MDR to word. So there are two operation is executed many times in between MDR and RAM. That operation are called read and write. Read operation transfers data from word to MDR. Write operation transfers data from MDR to word. Here MDR means memory data register. Now we are going to discuss the next topic, types of microprocessor. So microprocessor can be classified based on the following criteria. Number one, width of the data that can be processed. Width here means the size, that is the word size. Second, the instruction set. Depending upon the word size only, we can process the data. So that's why there is a condition in the RAM word size and as well as MDR word size should be same. It is depending upon the microprocessor. So depending upon the word size, that is width of the data, microprocessor can be classified into four different categories. In here in topic you can see classification of microprocessor based on the data width. So next classification is depend on the instruction set, which we discuss in the upcoming topic. So first we see classification of microprocessor based on the data width. So the first criteria. So depending upon the data width, microprocessor can process instruction. It can be classified into four types: 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit. Here, this bit refers to the word size of the microprocessor. This one is the important characteristics of microprocessor, which we already discussed in the topic number 3.2. That is the characteristics of microprocessor: clock speed. Next, the word size, instruction set. Now we are going to see the different types of microprocessor, classification of microprocessor based on the instruction set. So the size of the instruction set is important consideration while categorizing microprocessor. There are two types of microprocessor based on the instruction set. One is RISC, another one is CISC. RISC means reduced instruction set computers. CISC means complex instruction set computers. So reduced instructions and computers, there are some example here. You can see RISC processor or Pentium 4, Intel P6, AMD K6 and K7. CI is the processor. Example processor are Intel 386, 486, Pentium, Pentium 2, Pentium 3 and Motorola. These are some of the examples of our complex instruction set computers. So here you can see RISC and CISC examples. Now we go for the next topic, memory devices. Memory devices is used to store data and instruction. It is in the computer where data and instruction store. There are two types of accessing method. One is read and write. Of course, we know what is read and write. They are sequential access and the random access. So these are the access methods. The read and write are the operation of the memory. In memory, we can either read or write the data. Reading means transferring data, so which we already discussed in the previous topic. Read operation transfer data from word to MDR. Write operation transfers the data from MDR to word. So these are the two important operations executed in memory. The two accessing methods are sequential access and random access. So now we're going to see the memory access method. One is sequential access method, another one is random access method. In sequential access, the memory is accessed in an orderly manner from starting to end. From starting to end. So it means whenever we want to find any specific data, it starts searching from the beginning and go till the end. But in random access, any byte of memory can be accessed directly without navigating through previous bytes. Different memory devices are arranged according to the capacity, speed and cost. So we can understand the sequential access and random access with a simple example. We know the older version of audio device in tape record. We used to play audios in the form of cassettes. There are many songs are stored in the cassettes. If you want to play any particular song, then you should start from the beginning. So for that purpose, there was a button called forward and rewind button. By using that forward and rewind button, we move the magnetic strip and move the pointer and start from the place where we want to start. So this is called sequential. This is the simple example for sequential access method. Another one is a random access method, which can be understood by a digital data audio devices, where we are not for starting. If you want to start any particular song from the CD or DVD or any pen drive, you don't want to use play or rewind button or forward button. Simply you can directly go to that particular file and play by using a number or by using a file name. So this is the simple example for understanding random access, where we did where we do where without navigating through previous bytes we can access directly. In sequential matter, we should start in an orderly manner from the beginning and get till and go on till end. So this is the memory devices which are this is the different types of accessing memory devices. Now here you can see in the diagram there are different types of memory devices are arranged depending upon the capacity, speed and cost. So here you can see three type of memory. One is cache memory, so we another one is main memory, third one is hard disk. So cache memory, uh, cache memory is one of the costliest memory. Depending upon the capacity and faster access time and higher time, you can see the arrangement. So from lower to up direction. So here you can see the lower to up direction. So cache memory is one of the fastest memory, one of the costliest memory, one of the speed fastest and slow capacity memory. But compared to cache memory, main memory is uh, ca- somewhere cheaper, and as well as the capacity of the memory is higher than cache memory, but the speed is lower than cache memory. In the same order, we can see the large capacity, slower access time and slower cost. So if you want to take this cost and time and capacity, you can arrange this manner. So lower from large to down direction. So this is the three types of memory. You can see the hierarchy of memory here. Next we are going to discuss the memory device, one of the famous memory device, RAM, random access memory device. This is available in computer in the form of ICs. It is placed in the computer with where the operating system, application programs and data in current use are kept temporarily so that they can be accessed by the computers. So RAM is the memory where we store operating system, application program, data which are currently used by the user. So the smallest unit of information that can be stored in the memory is called a bit. Of course, we know the memory can access by a collection of 8 bits, which is called byte. So which we already learned. So RAM is a volatile memory. Of course, RAM is volatile. It is a temporary form of memory. Whenever we switch off, all the data in RAM will erased. So next topic is types of RAM. There are two types of RAM. One is a dynamic RAM, otherwise called a DRAM. Another one is static RAM, otherwise called a SRAM. DRAM, being a common type, needs to be refreshed frequently. So DRAM is a common type of RAM which are used commonly. It need to be refreshed frequently. So each and every time, whenever we do any operation like read or write operation, we should refresh the RAM. That's why the speed is slower compared to SRAM. So SRAM, it needs to be refreshed less often, which makes it faster compared to DRAM. Hence, static RAM is more expensive than dynamic RAM. So simply we can understand DRAM should be frequently refreshed, but in the SRAM there was no necessary to refresh the SRAM frequently. So DRAM is when compared to cost, it is slower than SRAM. Now we are going for next topic. Read only memory refers to a special memory in a computer with pre-recorded data at manufacturing time which cannot be modified. So ROM, read-only memory, is a special memory where many data are pre-recorded at the time of manufacturing the computer, but we cannot change that data. The stored program that start the computer and perform diagnostic are available in ROMs. It means post, BIOS, which we discussed in the first chapter. All the instructions are stored in this ROM. This is the chip. This is the place where the first program is executed whenever users switch on the computer. So ROM stores critical programs such as the program that boots the computer, that wakes up the computer, that starts the computer. Once the data has been written onto a ROM chip, it cannot be modified or removed and can only be read. So that's why we called it as a ROM. So read only memory means we are allowed to read only. So we cannot modify, we cannot remove the data inside the ROM. The data are written at the time of manufacturing the computer. ROM retains its content even when the computer is turned off. Unlike RAM, the data are not removed or deleted from ROM. So that's why ROM is called as a non-volatile memory, that is permanent memory where data remains constant. So next topic is PROM. There is another type of ROM called a PROM, programmable read-only memory. It is also non-volatile memory, shares the same characteristics of ROM, but with but different in one point. Once a program has been written onto a PROM, it remains therefore, unlike the main memory, PROM retains their content even when the computer is turned off. PROM different from ROM. PROM is manufactured as a blank memory, whereas RAM is programmed during the manufacturing process. PROM programmers or a PROM burner is used to write data to a PROM chip. The process of programming a PROM is called burning the PROM. So ROM and PROM is same. The only difference is the data inside the ROM is written at the time of manufacturing, but PROM, the data is written in the PROM is separately burned or separately written after manufacturing process is completed. Depending upon the user's requirement, we can add or remove any software programs inside the PROM. The PROM programs which are written inside the written by the person who writes the PROM program are called PROM programmers. There was special softwares which are used to burn the PROM. So next topic is EPROM, erasable programmable read-only memory. So in ROM and PROM, once we write the data, we cannot delete. But in EPROM, there was an option we can make changes. That means we can erase the data inside the EPROM. To erase the data inside the EPROM, we should use ultraviolet rays. So here you can see erasable programmable read-only memory is a special type of memory which serves as a PROM, but the content can be erased using ultraviolet rays. EPROM retains its content until it is exposed to UV lights. UV light clears its content and making it possible to reprogram the memory. So this is the simple difference between PROM and EPROM. In PROM, we can write the data by using eProgrammers after manufacturing the PROM. But in EPROM, if you want to erase the data, we can erase by using UV lights. In PROM, we are unable to delete the data. Once we write the program in the EPROM, then we cannot delete like ROM. So EPROM is different from PROM. PROM can be written only once and cannot be erased. EPROM are used widely in the personal computer because they enable the manufacturer to change the content of the PROM to replace with updated versions or erase the content before the computer is delivered. So mostly today's computer uses the EPROMs because depending upon the user we can erase the programs by using UV lights. Next ROM is EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory. So here there was an option called for erasing the data inside the ROM, we use electricity. This is the difference between EPROM and EEPROM. In EPROM, we use UV lights, that is ultraviolet rays, to erase the data inside the EPROM. In EEPROM, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, if you want to erase the data, then we can use electrical charges, electricity. So this is the difference between EPROM and EEPROM. Like other types of PROM, EEPROM retain its content even when the power is turned off. So there is a similarity between PROM, PROM, EPROM, EPROM. Once the data is written inside the program, whenever you switch off the computer, the data is not going to delete or lost like RAM. But the difference is in PROM, once we write the data, we cannot remove. In PROM, we can write the data after manufacturing the PROM. In EPROM, we can write the data after manufacturing the EPROM, and as well as we can erase the EPROM data by using UV lights. In EEPROM, we can write the data after manufacturing the EEPROMs, and we can erase the data using electrical charges. So this is the simple abstract of the uh, topic. Now we go for the next memory called cache memory. So of course, one of the high speed memory and expressive memory which is used speed up the memory retrieval process. That's why it's higher cost. CPU comes with a smaller size of cache memory compared to main memory and secondary memory. The size of the cache memory is very low in CPU. So without cache memory, every time the CPU requests the data, it has to be fetched from the main memory, which will consume more time. That's why the idea is introduced called a cache. It means whenever a data is required for processing, CPU need not to fetch the data from main memory, because CPU can access the cache. Cache is the place where all the data programs need to be processed is stored in this memory. So main memory transfers all the data and instruction to be processed to cache memory and in the simultaneous manner. So whenever CPU complete its process, then go for the cache memory and fetch the data which require for processing. So because of its faster speed, it supports CPU at a very fast rate. That helps the CPU to increase its fast level. So this helps to achieve the fast response time, where response time refers to access time, refers to how quickly the memory can respond to a read and request operation or require. So here, response time or access time refers to how quickly memory can respond. So compared to main memory like RAM, cache memory responds at very fast rate, but main memory responds at slow rate. So this is called the cache memory concept, which was introduced to increase the speed of the CPU. So next is the secondary storage device, generally called a permanent storage device. All the data stored in this memory is not going to delete or erased whenever you switch off the computer. This is the non-volatile, which one is expensive on non-volatile memory. So next, this memory is also called as backup storage because of its nature. It store a large amount of data, but the access time, that is response time for quick read and write operation, is very less compared to cache memory and main memory. So one of the fastest memory is cache memory, the second fastest memory is main memory, the third fastest memory is secondary memory. Here we cannot access data at a very fast rate, but we can store a large amount of data. So because this memory is very less in cost. So one of the first example is hard disk. Hard disk is a magnetic disk on which can store data. The hard disk are the stacked arrangement of disk accessed by a pair of heads for each of the disk. So here stacked means it is arranged in the form of uh, stacks. It means one upon another disk is arranged and placed within a box. So for each and every disk there was a separate head for reading and writing process on the particular disk. The hard disk comes with a single or double sided disk. It means if single side hard disk means we can write on in a single side only. Double sided hard disk we can write both in the A part and B part of the single disk. So next one is the CDs, that is compact disk. It is made from 1.2 millimeter thick polycarbonate plastic material. A thin layer of aluminum or gold is applied to the surface. CD data is represented as a tiny indentation known as pictures encoded in a spiral track. molded into the top of the polycarbonate layer. The areas between pits are known as lands. A motor within the CD player rotates the disc. The capacity of an ordinary CD-ROM is 700 MB. So here the two technical terms used, one is pits, another one is spiral track or lands. So when you purchase a new CD, you can see there was no variation, between any surface in the disc. The discs are very plain and common. After writing any data into the CD, when you see there was some differences in between the uh, between two layers, the new formatted layer, that is called the written data. When you see that place after writing the data, you can see many ups and downs. These ups are now called lands and downs are called pits, where the data are stored in the form of electrical codes. So the CDs are made up of polycarbonate plastic, and for coating this plastic we use aluminum or gold. So next one is digital versatile disc DVD. So the minimum capacity of the CD is 700 MB. Compared to CD, DVD are more capacity for storing data, that is 4.7 GB of data. It is more than 6 times. DVD are often used to store movies at a better quality, like CDs. DVDs are read with laser. So for reading the data between CDs, for reading the data in CD and DVD, we use laser beams which was stored inside the DVD or CD players. The disc can have one or two sideds. One sided means we can write at one layer is coated with the gold or aluminum. If you want to write, if you want to store double layered disk, you can see gold colored, while single layered sides are usually with the silver colored. So double layered simply refers to gold color layer, where we can store a large amount of data compared to single layer mostly in the silver colored, so like CDs. So next is the flash memory, is an electronic solid state non-volatile computer storage medium that can be electrically erased and reprogrammable. It is one of the example for EEPROM. EEPROM means electrically erasable programmable memory, or VPROM. Some of the flash memories are USB pen drives are called EPROM. Some of the flash memory or pen drives are EEPROM. So flash memories can be used in personal computer or personal digital assistant, digital audio player, digital camera, and mobile phone. So of course we know all these thing. The flash memories offers fast access time. The time taken to read or write a character in memory is called access time. The capacity of the flash memory vary from 1 GB, that is gigabyte, to 2 terabyte. Next one is the Blu-ray disc. So Blu-ray disc is a high density optical disc similar to DVD, but Blu-ray is the type of disc used for PlayStation games and for playing high definition HD movies. So a double layer Blu-ray disc can store up to 50 GB, up to 50 GB. So capacity of the CD is 700 MB, capacity of the DVD is 4.5 GB, but capacity of the Blu-ray disc is 50 GB. So here we use Blu-rays to write and to access the data from the Blu-ray disc. That's why we called it as a Blu-ray disc. So here you can see Blu-rays uses blue violet laser to write, hence it is called Blu-ray disc. Next one is ports and interfaces. So of course we know ports is the place where data are stored and transferred from one unit to another unit. There are different types of ports used in computer. The motherboard of your computer has many IO sockets that are connected to ports and interfaces found on the rear side of a computer. The external devices can be connected to ports and interfaces. The various types of ports are serial port. Here you can see the image of serial port, parallel port, USB port. So first one is serial port. These serial ports are found in old computers used to connect serial used to connect external devices. parallel port to connect printers found in old computers. Now we are using USB ports for connecting our external devices and as well as printers. There are different devices can be connected to USB ports like cameras, scanners, mobile phone, external hard disk printers to the USB 3.0 is the third major version used to connect computers with other electronic gadgets. So 3.0 can transfer data up to 5 gigabytes per second. So depending upon the version, the speed of the USB port is also increased. So 3.0 is the third version which can transfer 5 gigabyte of data per second. So there are many different versions are also released, 3.1 and 3.2. Here we are going to see the next connector called VGA connector to connect a monitor or display devices. So here you can see the VGA connector. Next one is the audio plugs. You to connect sound speakers, a microphone and headphone. Here you can see the USB port, network port and the HDMI port. PS2 port to connect mouse and keyboard to the P, to the PC. So these ports are called PS2 ports. The green color port refers to connect mouse device. The violet color refers to connect keyboard. So this one is used to connect monitor. Here this one is the older version of port used to connect monitor input devices. This one is the power supply. This port is used to connect network cable. This port is a USB cable, universal serial bus. It means we can connect all type of devices in the latest version. The next is the SCSI port to connect the hard disk drives and network connectors which was inside the motherboard. So here you can see the VGA connector to connect the high definition multimedia interfaces is an audio video interface which transfer uncompressed video and audio from a video controller to a compatible computer monitor, LCD projector, digital video. So of course we know this HDMI, high definition multimedia interface, used for used to connect digital TV, LCD and monitors. So this is the end of the lesson. I hope you understand this basic concept of computer organization. So prepare the answers for the book back exercise. Write down your classbook in the assignment note. Send the images to my WhatsApp number. If you have any doubt, contact me through WhatsApp. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.